am Maisie Greenstein.
Hi, I'm Luke Pepper.
My name is Doug Henry.
My name is Emily.
My name is Audrey Worth.
I am Maisie Greenstein, and I have type 1 diabetes, and I'm 9 years old.
I had her physical in June of 23 and got all the way through the physical, and the doctor said, "She's perfect, Mom. Everything's good. Do you have anything to bring up?" And I said, "Well, there's just one thing." She started going to the bathroom at night, and she looked at Maisie and she said, "Are you really thirsty?" And Maisie goes, "Yes, all the time." To which I said, "You know what? She actually is thirsty a lot." But it was June, summer, she was active, and I didn't think anything of that. So there were symptoms, but I didn't know they were diabetes symptoms.
Hi, I'm Luke Pepper. I am 29 years old, and I have cystic fibrosis. I was diagnosed at 1 month old, and since then I've chosen to live my life as to the fullest as possible. A lot of unknowns. When I was first born and when I was younger, the life expectancy for cystic fibrosis was relatively low, early 30s. And so for those people around me in my life, that became a huge challenge because it was like, okay, in reality, how long do we have with Luke?
My name is Doug Henry. I live in Torrington, Connecticut, and I raced professional motocross for many, many years. And throughout my career racing, that's like your biggest fear is, going to fall and get injured to a point where you can't walk or do much anymore. And so my entire life, every time I crash, it's like wiggle my fingers, wiggle my toes. If that's all good, all right, we'll heal from that. And this time, I was wiggling and I couldn't feel below my waist and my legs and stuff. And I was like, it's the time came.
My name is Emily. I had a very, very lucky life. My experience losing my mom at a young age was fast. I was a sophomore in high school when my mom was diagnosed with leukemia. She was diagnosed during my spring break, and then she passed on Christmas, my junior year of high school. So 8 months total was the time that she was sick. And we had about 2 weeks notice that she was going to be passing.
Hi, my name is Audrey Worth. I'm 24 years old. I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease when I was 19. My life was pretty normal. I consider myself a very healthy person. I didn't tend to get sick. I was very active. I had been weight training a lot, so I was pretty strong. I hung out with my friends. I had just started college, which was very exciting and new time. And I was just excited to live out my life.
Well, I was a little sad when I heard that in the beginning that the medicine comes out through a shot. I did not want to take a shot every day, but I don't have to take shots anymore now because I have an insulin pump. But I was a little scared, I couldn't do everything I did without diabetes.
Having CF growing up, I always had a lot of challenges. The majority of the challenges, though, were things that were manageable. A lot of it was managing medications, it might be the mental health aspect of the disease. It might be managing sickness or illness. I remember being in early elementary school, 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade, having PICC lines put in where I would have to be on IV therapies for weeks at a time. I'd have to spend time in the hospital. So really overcoming those challenges was huge, and those were some of the challenges that I faced.
It was March 7th, 2007, and I was practicing for a supermoto race in Florida near Daytona. It was New Smyrna Beach, but it was kind of for the Daytona Bike Week. And supermoto is a cross between street racing and dirt racing, and I grew up on the dirt my entire life, and so I didn't realize the impact of what a little bit of oil will do on a track. and I hit a little bit of oil on the track, and it put me into a spin where I fell and I slid up and hit a concrete wall. Some things just aren't as easy as they used to be. They're a little bit more difficult. So choosing my battles as to what I'm going to accomplish and what I'm going to ask for help with has been a big change for me. I think most people will say asking for help is a tricky thing. Yeah, I mean it's changed to the point where I appreciate a lot more of the little things in life than the big picture.
I think losing a parent at any age is really difficult. I don't think it gets much easier the older that you get, but I think I lost her at a very formative age where it really shaped a lot of how I view myself and my family and just the world around me. It was something where at the time it didn't feel as earth-shattering as it was. It definitely took a few years for me to let myself experience it.
For me personally, when I was diagnosed, I was already pretty sick and I was in the hospital for a few months. So I was already looking for a diagnosis and trying to figure out why these things were happening to me. But I had undergone a couple of surgeries, a couple of procedures, and was just in and out of the hospital for several months, which was at the time my second semester of college.
We had a meeting with my teacher before school started, and I have to eat snacks sometimes during class. It doesn't change my life, just if my blood sugar's low or something, I might have to eat something. It's not like a whole entire different day or something like that.
The few that I can talk to are school, and when she went back to school, it was about 2 months into the diagnosis, I spent hours upon hours putting together a lot of documents, a lot of information, a lot of training manuals, a lot of printed materials, both to train the school nurse, to train the school administration, to train her teacher on what we needed just to have surrounding Maisie at school to keep her safe.
Managing, having all these irons in the fire with my career, as well as managing my health, has been a bit of a challenge, because a lot of the time as a business owner, you put the lives of the people who work for you first. And having CF, that's not always the best decision or best choice that you can make, because you have to put the health of yourself first. So balancing that sometimes does become a challenge, but always knowing in the back of my head that, I do have CF, I do need to maintain myself, and my health is hugely important.
I tried, but something kept bringing me back. I did try other things. And other sports and other activities, but riding for me, it's something I started at a young age, and I got bit by the bug of I feel like riding and getting involved in a sport and trying to perfect it. You really sort of put outside circumstances aside, because you need to focus on what you're doing at hand. And I think that's something that I really connect with, to just be more present in the moment of an activity. And that's my way of finding that balance between comfort and fear.
I felt like I was an adult for those times. I think I had to grow up a lot. I've had a lot of responsibilities I hadn't had before. Instead of my mom taking care of me, now she was in a hospital bed, and I was, massaging her legs because she would get really bad cramps, or I was holding the bowl thing while she was throwing up, and rubbing her back while she was sick, or when she was at home in between treatments. I was cleaning out her IV port that she had in her arm, or I was putting the food into the feeding tube in her stomach. And so I think I lost those last 2 years of my childhood because even after she was gone, I had still done all of those things, and I couldn't really go back to just being a kid.
In the early stages of being diagnosed were understanding how I needed to change my lifestyle around a little bit, like certain foods that I wouldn't be able to eat anymore, like popcorn I really enjoy, and so now I really have to limit the amount of popcorn that I have. Just like little things like that that were challenges that you aren't expecting. Even on the days when you're like, you know, feeling well or you're in remission, there's still things and ways that it affects your life. Some challenges also would be like doing all my medications, and making sure that I stay on top of that, and that knowing that medicines that I take generally suppress your immune system, and knowing how to keep myself from getting sick and catching like colds, because of the way that it could affect my body more than it would have before. That was a new challenge that I had to face.
Maisie has not been or shown any to be affected by type 1, as far as I can tell, in any way. She is the same person she was before. She does all the same activities she did before.
So I would say to somebody who's doubting, you know, my abilities to be able to do these things is wake up and look in the mirror, because we all have challenges that we can face and that we all have to face every single day. And it's up to us to wake up every morning, put a smile on our face and say, these are our challenges, but we have to face them head on and grab life by the horns, because, you know, we're only given one life, and we have to do good by that life that we're given.
I tried to make it so it wasn't too handicap looking. You know, like I took the garage and I made it wider and longer, so that I can get around the vehicles a little bit easier. But there's more space between the doors, and it's deeper than a regular garage. The doors are all 3 feet and 3 feet wide. The thresholds are all low thresholds to get in and out. That's the reason I put the wraparound porch, was so that I can get around the house in any weather condition. I feel like it's an inner struggle, it's an inner battle that I think everyone faces, but I think people see people with disabilities as having to struggle more so, and being able to overcome many obstacles. I realize, you know, like the disability is not so much the disability in your happiness and joy. So you know, to look beyond yourself and the position you're in, and just trying to get as much joy as you can, you know, from life.
We moved houses. We moved to Rhode Island like 3 days after I graduated high school. That was really weird, because she had never seen that house. She had never been in that house. I think that was one really big milestone that felt really weird. Or like going off to college, she never saw me as a college student, things like that. But any big event that kind of shapes who I am, or like adds to my identity, I definitely feel her absence.
I think there was never really one moment that allowed me to fully prepare myself for what life was going to be like living with Crohn's. I think it's kind of a process that takes different amounts of time, and sometimes you might be more receptive to change, and sometimes you might be more just wanting things to stay the same. So I think that after I got diagnosed, I was still in the process of healing, and that was kind of the first thing I was focusing on, was the short term, you know, getting the surgery done and feeling better getting out of the hospital, going back to a normal life. And as I started slowly going back to my normal life, I had to make some adjustments and sort of come to terms with what things were going to be different moving forward, and how Crohn's was going to affect me as a lifelong disease and not just one incident in my life that caused me to be sick.
Other than having to do a lot more planning ahead for everything, which is really fallen more on my husband and I than putting it onto Maisie. For right now, we're kind of taking the brunt of that planning and not making her have to think too much about it, because she's still a little kid and she'll have this forever, and she doesn't need to think about it right now. So we do have to plan for activities way ahead. And that is the major difference. Everything that we're going to do, you have to look at her numbers and decide if she needs food or insulin before she can do anything. And that stuff takes a while to get through her system. So the advice I would give to any parent who has a new child getting ready, or who is just diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, is that it is going to be super overwhelming in the beginning. You have to learn so much information, not only about the medical diagnosis and what's actually happening in your child's body, but you have to know and learn how to be a dietitian, essentially, because you have to know what foods affect her body in what ways, because you need to counter them with the right amount of insulin. And it's so much information that it's drinking from a fire hose for quite a while. So I would give advice of take a deep breath, know that it's overwhelming, know that almost every mistake you make can be fixed, and just take it step by step and day by day in the beginning, and it gets exponentially easier a few months down the road.
So cystic fibrosis is more than just a disease to me. While it's a part of my life, it's something that I've had to be so cognizant of, or so aware of, throughout my entire being. However, while it's played such an integral role in my life, I've never let it define who I am as a person. It's always just been a part of my life, not my whole life. So for me, I didn't have any doubts that I would make it this far in my life. I think a part of you feels like you're born with an expiration date when you have CF, but I always knew for me that that expiration date wasn't real. My life didn't have an endpoint in the same way that other people did. I knew that if I took care of myself, if I lived a healthy life, if I kept a positive mindset and kind of kept a good, strong outlook, that I could become or live a full life just like anybody else. CF definitely impacted my relationships prior to and as I was dating my now wife, because it was something that's a huge impact. I mean, for somebody to come into a relationship and basically I have to say to them, hey, by the way, I have a life expectancy that's a lot shorter than a normal person, and I have all of these health issues and these other challenges in my life. That was definitely a challenge, but seeing my now wife and our relationship grow, I mean, that was definitely something that for her, she had to take into consideration. I know that was a big challenge for her family, being able to say, hey, Luke has CF, how are we going to manage this? And so there were a lot of questions, but ultimately it's being able to come together with the people that you have a relationship with and overcome it.
My leg was stuck under the bike, and I was kind of trying to pull it out to get from the other side, but I just didn't get out in time. I just got squished between the bike and the wall. And right there, I knew as soon as I hit, I couldn't move. Couldn't feel nothing. Was in a lot of pain. And I knew that was it. That wasn't the roughest time of my life. It was in the hospital, realizing it. When you first get hurt, you think that you're going to be okay. A couple weeks later, when I couldn't even roll over in bed by myself, I said, Jesus, this is how it's going to be for the rest of my life. Just so dependent. It was it's just real sad. I was just that was probably the lowest point in my life, was in the hospital, not being able to roll over.
You know, I realize there's a lot of love out there, and when you have a disability, I think you connect on another level with other people with disabilities. Maybe one that other people can't really see or connect with. So I feel that I feel like love is definitely a big part of my well-being. You know, just having, you know, a bit of love for life and appreciation for those around me.
First, that was hard pretty much immediately was the fact that time was passing. Like, time kept moving and my life kept going, and she had stopped. At first, it was just a day since she had passed, and that was okay, but then it was like a month, and that felt wrong, and then it was like a year, and then it was 2 years, and it was really hard to like have to leave her in the past, and I had no choice but to keep moving further away from like the last time I saw her.
Some challenges also would be like doing all my medications, and making sure that I stay on top of that, and that knowing that medicines that I take generally suppress your immune system, and knowing how to keep myself from getting sick and catching like colds, because of the way that it could affect my body more than it would have before. That was the new challenge that I had to face. Crohn's and other medical conditions can cause people to have medical trauma, which stays with you for your life and affects the way that you think. It can make you think, you know, oh, now, you know, I'm feeling a little sick, I have a little headache or something. If you have medical trauma from the past where, oh, you know, my stomach was hurting, and then it turned out to be this whole big thing where I was hospitalized and diagnosed with Crohn's and had to go through all these surgeries. Now something happens, oh, I have a headache, you jump to the worst case. You have this trauma that's causing your mind to process things differently. I've also explored mental health treatment and therapy, which is definitely, I recommend to anybody who thinks that they could benefit from it. It always helps to have somebody to talk to talk things through. And some health centers are even good enough that they have mental health providers that are specific to gastrointestinal disorders, and that have lots of clients who have Crohn's or ulcerative colitis or whatever it may be. And I thought that was a really good experience, talking with a specific provider that might that knows the way that gastrointestinal disorders can affect people's mental health. But really any mental health provider in general is going to be able to provide some things and just help you talk things out, figure things out mentally about your emotional state at any point in your life. I think it's a good idea.
So type 1 diabetes is what's called a chronic illness. You'll have it forever. There is no cure. Everyone who has type 1 has a pancreas that has now fails to produce insulin. So for the rest of her life, she will need to take insulin for every carbohydrate that she eats. And the treatment options are either taking the insulin via needles, so manual injections, or on an insulin pump. Those are the only two treatment options currently. Medically, our support system is Connecticut Children's Medical Center. They have an amazing endocrinology group, and we have a large team over there that is very responsive and super helpful. It's a such strange disease because Maisie doesn't look sick. Maisie's not technically sick, but Maisie could have a medical emergency at any moment in time, and she could go from looking totally fine to being in a seizure fairly quickly. So you kind of have to hope that people will remember to watch out for that, even though she looks totally fine all the time.
So Currently, there's no cure for CF. However, there's a lot of new medications, one of which I'm currently prescribed, which help correct the direct or help fix the main issue of CF, and thus really help minimize the amount of symptoms that you have.
Seek professional help. I think seeing a therapist is so important because they can just guide you along processing what you went through and processing losing someone that you love. I think it is crucial to just getting through it. I think grieving honors the person that you love.
There's no cure for Crohn's disease. There are good medications that are out there that are always being, new research, new technologies always coming out. The current therapies are pretty good, and I'm lucky to say that I have been in remission since I was 19, because I did have a surgery done that is not a cure, but it basically takes out the parts of your digestive tract that are acting up and then just gets rid of them basically. And with that and the medication at the same time, I have been able to be in remission. I stay informed about the latest research and treatments for Crohn's primarily through my doctors, who would send emails about any kinds of news. Like I remember when COVID was just starting, they would send out lots of information about keeping yourself safe, about recommendations for the vaccine when that came out, things like that. I think that my providers are very good about educating their client population and keeping us all informed about any developments that may come out in the field.
It was very fun to see other kids my age with type 1 diabetes and how it was really fun to go to camp and meet new people like that.
Well, the family and friends have helped me out tremendously. I think just having the support of family and not wanting to really let them down so much, and not letting my disability get the best of me, just like I had mentioned to you before, it's like there's a lot of things that I can't do now that I used to be able to do. And so, not necessarily I can't do. It's a big struggle to do. So, asking for help and allowing them to help me has been, very beneficial for my well-being, because I know I have a strong support group around me. It was there was a lot of things up and down. I think mentally. Just not being so hard on myself to get things accomplished, and trying to be okay with the disability as much as I could, I'm not sure what other things that I really tried or changed. I'm very thankful to find God a couple years ago, and He brings me comfort in the challenges that I face nowadays. And I love learning more and more about life and the challenges ahead. And just finding comfort in where I am, at any time, just trying to understand and realize that life can be so much worse, and there's no sense in complaining because nobody's listening.
I think the hardships I faced did take my joy and happiness away for a little while, but I would almost more say that I kept myself from experiencing joy and happiness because I shut myself off to any of the things that would allow me to experience joy and happiness out of fear that they would possibly cause pain instead. The strength, or building the strength to let people back into my life and to not lead with the fear that I would lose someone I loved again, allowed me to experience happiness again, because I was experiencing people again. I was having connections with the people that I loved and being open and just depending on other people and really being with them. That was when I started to have joy again. My main advice is, unfortunately, let yourself really hurt first. And I think having people around you, such as a therapist or someone you trust, like a family member or a close friend, who can help you kind of guide that hurt so it's not self-destructive, but it's like kind of productive, is important, because once you're able to process the grief and the mourning and the loss and the anger and all of it, then you kind of have room in here for happiness once you can clear out some of that grief. I think having people you love around you is really important, because that's where I find my happiness, is in people.
Crohn's has impacted my mental and emotional well-being because of, like what I said before about being in the hospital and how depressing and isolating that is from other people, not feeling like, you know, everyone else that was my age was off in college and spring break, and I was sitting in the hospital trying just to be able to eat, just to be able to not be in pain. To somebody that would be newly diagnosed with Crohn's, I would just say to find somebody else out there that has Crohn's or ulcerative colitis, because there are a lot of people and everyone has a different experience. I think talking with someone else about how they have changed, how their lives have changed, but also how they've been able to maintain some sense of normalcy and sense of self with everything that's been going on. I think that that's helpful to be able to relate yourself to other people and to see, oh, look, this person is normal, I can be normal too. Support systems that I have are really good. I have my family, my friends, my boyfriend. I have pets that I love. One of the things that really helped me was that we got a puppy right the summer after I was diagnosed. So while I was going through that healing process, I had a little friend with me that always makes you feel better, someone to keep you company and just bring a smile to your face, and that is a support system within and of itself.
Well, I would say that, like, it's not like I'm going to not be able to do anything with diabetes. It's not like it's going to change my whole life or anything.
I would say in my life I am happy with where I am now. I am a person who is never satisfied. I'm always looking for the next opportunity, the next challenge to overcome, and the next thing to do. But for me, I would say that I'm generally happy with where I am. The thing that's kept me going all these years, definitely number one would be my faith. Being a Christian is hugely important, a huge motivator in my life. My friends and my family, my support group of friends are really strong. They've really kind of said, we're going to rally around Luke when I have challenges, in the same way that you rally around your friends when they might face things. And that's hugely important. And of course, having family around you as well is a huge motivator.
Well, I've done so many things. I've met so many beautiful people in the world, and would that have happened without my injury? Maybe not so much. So I, it was a struggle, just like we all have struggles. And, when you get through those struggles, when you get past those bumps in the road, life is just as joyful as it was before the injury. So, I may not be, riding a wave so much on the surfboard of my choice, but I'm still riding the wave, and I'm still getting as much out of life as I can.
Happiness is a choice to an extent, like choosing to be satisfied or like fulfilled with what you have. And also choosing to appreciate the people in your life and find joy in the people in your life.
I would prefer to live without Crohn's if I had the choice, especially because of everything that I went through to get diagnosed, and being put in and out of the hospital and being very sick at the time. But I am fortunate that I'm able to live a normal life and that the treatment options have helped me to get my life back. So while I wish that I could go back to where, I don't have any health problems at all, I am grateful for the spot that I am now, where I can be happy and healthy even while living with the disease. Doing things that you love, spending time with the people that you love. Those are the things I think that really give us our joy and our happiness in life, no matter what else is going on. I think that that's the most important thing.